Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. Let me apologize once before I get started here about the way this camera is looking. I got to adjust this the camera, and I have to adjust this jerkiness here. So if you have any suggestions about how to fix that situation, please put it in the comment box below. I'm learning as I go along. But what I want to talk about in this video is an extension of my commentary that I made about the reparations situation in the state of California. An activist group, about 9 in total, right, wants to essentially push to, with the assistance of a reverend, to push for every resident or every individual black person in the state of California to get $200 million each. $200 million each. You heard that. So I'm going to get right into this article, and I'm going to give you guys my commentary because I think this is the craziest, most ridiculous thing I've heard in quite some time. But these people actually push and advocate for this insanity. So let's get right into this. And the article starts off, reparations for black residents in California are forecast to cost $800 billion, more than twice the cost of the state's entire annual budget. But activists say that is not enough. Last night, the task force approved recommendations for reparation payments, which are due to the state legislature by July 1st, Breitbart reported. The 9-member task force, 9 members. I'm going to say, I have to laugh at that, 9 members. Who's paying these people, right? I know they're not doing it for free. And by the way, they're all black, but who's paying them? 9 members? The 9-member task force called on lawmakers to make a formal apology for slavery and also requested that those eligible receive, quote, cash down payments. The task force was assembled 2 years ago following George Floyd being killed by a Minneapolis police officer. California was the first state to assemble a reparations task force. Woo, 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 woo. You guys are really progressive. You're the first state to assemble a task force, a reparations task force. And I find it interesting that they decided to do this, 2 years ago? Supposedly following George Floyd being killed by the Minneapolis police officer. I find it interesting that they decided to just not do this. Now, I'm against reparations. But the whole point is you wait till now to decide to do something. And then also another thing that I find interesting too. And that is the fact that California, one source is saying California, when it entered into the union as a free state. So why is a free state that supposedly entered into the union that had no slaves, I guess, I'm going to assume that's the case, had no slaves, didn't advocate for slavery, why should they pay any kind of reparations? Let's go on. Weird, man. Weird. If passed, a black resident older than 71 would be eligible to receive more than $1.2 million in reparations as reported by Fox. This is crazy, $1.2 million. Now, someone might argue, well, Mr. Bolin, if you was offered that kind of money, would you take it? Well, yes, I would take it. But I wouldn't be outside, give me my reparations. It's their choice. They have a right to do whatever they want to do. I'm not pushing against anyone's right to advocate for anything. But me personally, I certainly wouldn't be out there doing that. Anything that I have, to God be the glory for enabling me to do it. But anything that I have, I earn it. I get $16 a month, $16 an hour. And I work a full-time job. And by the time taxes is taken care of, okay, I got a little over $400. Not much. But guess what? That $400, it helps me pay my bills, and I earned it. I worked for it. It isn't much, but I worked for it. So everything I have, I worked for it. The government didn't give it to me. Okay? An independent corporation by the name of Allied Universal hired me. Okay? I put in my application. They liked my application. They saw my qualifications, and they said, hey, we want this guy to work for us. And I worked, and I work, and I earn it. Okay? This whole reparations thing is ridiculous. Okay? What is wrong with a lot of these people, the black people, and not all, I'm not saying all black people want this, but what is wrong with a lot of black people that's pushing for this? Look, I'm going to say this, and I said this in my 60-second video. Here's the solution. Look, man, get a job, get a degree, or let me put it like this: get a degree, get a job, have a family, save up your money, and get a career. Or maybe not necessarily in that order, but that's what needs to be done. Just get a job and work, man. Forget about all these reparations. But I'm not going to get into the details of that until later. Let me continue this. Let me continue this article here, because I really want to give you the gist of what I have to say. But listen to this. But during last night's meeting, an activist known as Reverend, it's always a Reverend, right? Tony Pierce called out the task force for being fearful of getting the black community what they really deserve. He says, you know that the numbers should be equivocal to what an acre was back then. We were given 40, okay? We were given 40 acres. You know what that number is. You keep trying to talk about now, yet you research back to slavery and you say nothing about slavery. Nothing, said Pierce. So the equivocal number from the 1860s for 40 acres to today is 200 million for each and every African American. 200 million. Pierce was joined by the former Black Party chairwoman Elaine Brown, who called for people to turn to demonstrations, as reported by the Daily Mail. Of course they're going to call them for turning to demonstration. But yeah, this is ridiculous. You can read the rest of that article on your own there, but that's ridiculous. I want to get right into this because I feel this is totally ridiculous. This is ludicrous. Man, number one, where I want to start at right now. First and foremost, and I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna keep saying this. Clearly, the way I see it, this is a Democratic tactic to keep black people voting. Okay. Whether black people know this or not, whether these 9 members of this task force, which all of them practically are black, by the way, there's an actual photo of them in the article. Whether they realize it or not, the very political party that you're snotting, acting crazy over and trying to, we need reparations and so forth, blah, 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 is the very political party that upheld slavery, had slaves en masse, fought against every attempt of the Republican Party to try to create legislation to give blacks equal rights, created the KKK, which was their terrorist arm, if you will. Okay. I mean, they created the Jim Crow laws, all the so-called discrimination that a lot of these blacks that are part of these groups are hooping and hollering about. That was from the political party that you voting for and that you supporting right now. I have to hand this to Democratic politicians. They're smart. They know how to brainwash the masses, okay? They're better at it than the Republicans. Republicans are boring. Democrats are vibrant and exciting, and they know how to push rhetoric better than the Republicans do. It's true. Republicans are boring. They're boring. They're boring. Democratic politicians are so exciting and vibrant because they know that when they push these reparations and push this and push that and discrimination, they know black people are going to fall for it. And I don't care how many black people come out of that mindset, come out of that matrix that's being created, it's never enough to shake the masses of black people to say, wait a minute, hold it. We're being manipulated, man. Because every 4 years, they do the same thing, push the same rhetoric. We vote for them and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Isn't that, what's the guy's name? I don't know if it's the Breakfast Club or whatever. I think it might be the Breakfast Club. Correct me in the comment box below. He calls himself the God. He himself is angry with the Democrats. And he's a stone cold Democrat. But he's upset with them. Gee, I wonder why. And I believe that may more or less be because of a hiccup right now. He'll probably always be a Democrat. But man, the Democrats never really did anything. But that's a whole other story. I'm not going to get into the details about all of that. But the point is, you're not going to get reparations. Just do what you need to do to better your life. Just do what you need to do to better your life. Why depend on the government to give you these type of things? You're not going to get it. The state of California is not going to give these people this kind of money. This is just a political tactic to keep blacks in the state of California voting for Democrats. Election day is coming. It's coming. It's on the way. People getting all wrapped up. The politicians are getting their stuff together. They're getting their campaign tactics together, man. And they have to keep blacks on the plantation. That's the way I see it. It's a lie. It's a ruse. They've been saying this stuff for decades. When are we going to wake up? Or when, rather, let's say it this way. When is this segment of blacks going to wake up? When are we going to let loose and unplug from the matrix that the Democratic politicians have created for us? When are we going to come off the plantation? Now, here's the thing. People get mad at me, call me Uncle Tom, call me a sellout on the commentary section and on my job. Sellout, you don't love black people. You don't love, first of all, I love all people. As a man of God, I love all people. I don't love one racial ethnicity or subgroup over another group. I love all because Jesus died for all, and I'm striving to represent him. So I love all, regardless of your racial ethnicity. But I point this out because that's what I do on my video. That's part of my niche. That's what I do. That's why it's called Another Black Conservative. You know, I try to deal with things to a large extent from a black perspective, in some senses. And I mentioned a lot about communism and Marxism. That's my niche too. That's part of my niche. Bringing up the concepts and the teachings and pushings of communism, Marxism, and socialism, and progressivism also. But I talk about this stuff because, in part with blacks, because I see how damaging it actually is. And that's why I push it. I push it because I see it's damaging, it's hurting the black community, it's not helping the black community. So once again, forget about all of this reparation stuff. They're not going to get it. Forget about it. It's a tactic being used to keep black people on the plantation. Because black people, unfortunately, as I said, no matter how many people unplug from this matrix that the Democrats have created for them, they're going to fall back into and vote Democrat. In the next 4 years, it's going to be the same thing. In the next 4 years, it's going to be the same thing. You're never going to get anything. You're going to complain and cry and poot and snot, hate on me, and call me a traitor and all the rest, when the very political party that you're pushing and supporting is the one that was hating on you. And I believe they're still hating on black people. They're just doing it in a different way. They're doing it in a different way by keeping you dependent on them. Let me say this. During slavery, okay, what did the slaves depend on when they needed medical help, food, clothing, lodging? Who did they look to? You right, the master. Now let's transfer that over to 2023 America. You know where I'm going, right? When inner city, low income black people, particularly in the ghetto, need something or want something. They need clothing. If they need this, if they need that, who do they look to? The government. And who in particular? The Democrats. Same concept, just a different time. Same idea, just a different time. Same plantation, just a different time. Back then it was a rural plantation. Today it's the urban plantation. But you call me a sellout. You call me an Uncle Tom. Really? Who's a sellout? Who's the Uncle Tom? Me or you? Not the people, not you guys is watching the video, clearly. Me or you? I'm just saying, I'm certainly not a sellout. I love all people, and I care about the black community. I care about the black community. I talk to them on my job all the time. But I talk to them the way I see best to talk to them. I believe empowerment is when you receive the tools that you need to better yourself. Empowerment is not dependency. Empowerment is giving the tools that you need, and then you going out there independently and doing what you need to do to better yourself and your situation. That's empowerment. That's true black empowerment. When I see these blacks protesting about reparations, begging the government for reparations, whether it's on a state level or on local level or on a federal level, and I see them begging the government for reparations, it shows to me that you're dependent on the government for everything. That's what it shows to me. It doesn't show independence. It doesn't show empowerment. It just doesn't. And another thing, they claim blacks in the state of California should be given this kind of money. Okay. But my question is this. How do you know you deserve reparations? Is your descendant a slave? Because unbeknownst to a lot of these blacks that's roo, 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 and ha, 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 and rah, rah, rah about reparations, unbeknownst to a lot of them, is that a significant number of slave owners were black. In fact, several thousand of them were black and had slaves during Southern slavery. Not afterwards, but during it. So you mean to tell me, are you going to do the research that you need to do to find that out? Who's going to do the research to find out whether or not their ancestors were slaves or not? Are these protesters going to do that? Is the government going to do it? Think about that. You're probably not going to do it. They're probably not going to put forth the effort like Alex Haley did, even though he was sued for making up that story. But that's another story in and of itself. No, most blacks are not going to do that. Who wants to spend the time and even the money to go through all of that? So the question is, do you really deserve it? Even if it happens, do you really deserve it? Is your ancestor a slave? They might be one of the slave holders. Huh? Just saying. There's so much to this. There's so much to this, man. But the end of the video on this is ridiculous. They need to give it up. It's another Democratic ploy to keep blacks voting for the Democratic Party. And like I said, unfortunately, although a small number of blacks are coming out the matrix, unfortunately, it's not enough to grip the minds of most blacks that vote Democrat. It just isn't. And so this is crazy. This is ridiculous. I'm totally against it. I hope it doesn't happen, because let me end the video on this. As the article goes on to say, first of all, where's the money going to come from? Where is the state of California going to get this kind of money to pay these people? It's so many loopholes in this thing. It's ridiculous. And yet these people just don't pay attention to it. They just don't pay attention to it. 9 members. How much money they getting, boy? They have to be getting a significant amount of money to be pushing this rhetoric. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But what do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.